My dear soul, have you ever wondered why some wounds stay open even after you pray about them? Why you trust Allah yet your heart still feels heavy? Why guidance feels real but relief feels distant? You don't say it out loud, but the question lives quietly inside you. If Allah is with me, why does this still hurt? This is not a question of weak faith. It is a question of a tired heart. And today, this message is not here to rush your healing or silence your pain. It is here to remind you that even unanswered moments have meaning, and even delayed ease has wisdom. All praise belongs to Allah alone. We send peace and blessings upon Muhammad, upon his family, his companions, and upon all those who sincerely try to walk the path of truth. We ask Allah to place goodness in our hearts, clarity in our minds, and ease in our journeys. My dear soul, all praise belongs to Allah alone. We send peace and blessings upon Muhammad, upon his family, his companions, and upon all those who sincerely try to walk the path of truth. We ask Allah to place goodness in our hearts, clarity in our minds, and ease in our journeys. So many people struggle in life, not because they lack ability, and not because they lack opportunities, but because they are standing in one place emotionally while life keeps moving forward. They want progress, but their hearts are tied to what already happened. They want peace, but they keep reopening old wounds. They want the future, but they refuse to loosen their grip on the past. And this does not only apply to our own mistakes and sins. Sometimes it is connected to what others have done to us. Words that hurt, actions that were unfair, situations where we were wronged and never truly compensated. There are moments when letting go feels impossible. Moments when holding on feels justified. Moments when you say to yourself, I deserve closure, I deserve justice, I deserve to prove my point. But here is a truth we often avoid. Not everything you are entitled to is worth the cost of chasing it. Sometimes the emotional price, the mental exhaustion, the time lost, is far greater than what you think you are gaining. Islam teaches us balance. It teaches us to weigh outcomes, not just intentions. To look at benefit and harm, not just what feels right in the moment. Because there are situations where insisting on being right ends up leaving you empty. This is why so many people feel stuck. They are not lazy by nature. They are not weak by design. They are exhausted from carrying something that should have been put down a long time ago. You see this clearly when someone loses a job. Not just loses it, but loses it painfully, unexpectedly, without dignity, without explanation. And instead of lifting their gaze forward, they become consumed by what was done to them. By anger, by resentment, by the desire to get even. And slowly, without realizing it, they stop seeing the opportunities that are already waiting ahead. The mind becomes busy with revenge, and the eyes stop searching for doors. The heart becomes heavy with bitterness, and the future feels distant. But listen carefully. Losing something does not mean you have lost your worth. Going through hardship does not mean you are failing. Pain is not proof that Allah has abandoned you. Hard times come to everyone. They come in different forms, at different intensities, and for different lengths of time. For some it is months, for others years, and for some it feels like an entire chapter of life. But one thing is certain. Hardship lasts longer when we refuse to move forward. When we keep replaying what happened instead of preparing for what is coming. Sometimes the trauma is not financial. Sometimes it is physical. A health scare that shakes your sense of safety. An incident that makes you feel vulnerable. A loss that leaves silence where love once lived. And in those moments, sadness creeps in quietly. Energy fades. Motivation disappears. Life feels heavy. But hear this clearly. This is not the end of your road. Looking back is not forbidden, but it has a purpose. You look back only to learn. You look back only to gain wisdom. You do not look back to build a home there, because if you stay there, you stop walking. And this is why one of the most powerful moments in history teaches us everything about forward movement. When the Prophet entered Makkah with strength, authority, and numbers, he faced people who had done unimaginable harm. People who had taken wealth, broken families, tortured believers, and driven them from their homes. From a human perspective, retaliation would have felt justified. From an emotional perspective, revenge would have felt satisfying. Yet something greater was at play, a vision larger than pain, a responsibility heavier than personal wounds. When he chose forgiveness, it was not weakness. It was clarity. It was leadership. It was an understanding that holding on to the past would delay the future of an entire community. That moment teaches us something timeless. True victory is not settling scores. True victory is refusing to be trapped by them. You can learn from pain without living inside it. You can protect yourself without poisoning your heart. You can move forward without pretending nothing happened. And this is where the journey truly begins. Recently, I met someone who was carrying a heavy anger inside him. Not loud, not dramatic, but sharp and constant. He told me he had been treated unfairly, pushed aside, removed without dignity. And now all he wanted was to strike back. He said, I know things about them. I could expose them. I could hurt them the way they hurt me. I listened carefully, because pain speaks before wisdom arrives. Then I asked him a simple question. If you spend your energy destroying someone else, what exactly will you build for yourself? Will it give you peace? Will it restore your livelihood? Will it heal what broke inside you? Most of the time, revenge feels productive, but it produces nothing. It gives the heart a temporary sense of power and then leaves it emptier than before. It damages your name. It distracts your focus. And it ties your future to people who should no longer matter. So I told him, instead of fixing people, fix your direction. Instead of watching those who hurt you, watch where you are walking. Turn forward. Ask Allah. Speak to Allah. Lean on Allah. He paused, then said something many people think but rarely say out loud. I have been asking Allah for improvement for years, and instead I lost what I had. I asked for progress and things went backwards. And here lies the real question. Do you trust Allah's plan, even when it doesn't match your expectations? Do you trust Allah when the answer comes in a form you didn't ask for? Because sometimes what looks like loss is actually release. Sometimes Allah removes what you are clinging to because it is blocking what is coming next. Sometimes your hands are so full of what you are afraid to lose that they cannot receive what is meant to change your life. Patience is not passive. Patience is active trust. It is choosing to stay connected to Allah when emotions try to pull you away. It is refusing to abandon faith during hardship. Never walk away from Allah when life becomes heavy. Never blame Allah for what human beings choose to do. The harm in this world is not created by Allah's cruelty, but by human hands, human choices, human corruption. Allah makes this clear. People ask why evil exists, but they ignore who commits it. Allah does not commit injustice. Human beings do. And justice does not disappear just because it is delayed. Allah provides in this world for believers and non-believers alike. The difference is not provision. The difference is purpose. One group lives only for now. The other lives with the hereafter in view. I told him, keep making dua. Not with desperation, but with trust. Doors do not always open slowly. Sometimes they open suddenly. Life changed for everyone shortly after that. Uncertainty spread. Fear became common. Plans were interrupted across the world. And then, quietly, unexpectedly, this man found himself in the right place at the right time. One opportunity led to another. One step opened the next. What he thought was the end turned out to be the beginning. Later, he told me something powerful. If I had stayed focused on revenge, I would still be chasing shadows. Instead, I focused on what was in front of me, and Allah opened doors I never imagined. This is why this message matters. Because every single one of us is struggling in some way. Different levels, different tests, different weights. But no one is walking untouched. You are not alone. Your struggle is not unique, but your response to it can be. A kind word matters. Encouragement matters. Focus matters. Consistency matters. There will come a day when you smile again, even if it takes longer than you hoped. Time does not cancel healing. Giving up does. Another struggle many people carry quietly is broken relationships. Separation. Disappointment. Dreams that did not survive reality. Ending a relationship for the right reasons is not failure. But when forgiveness disappears, when patience becomes rare, when perfection is demanded from imperfect people, something deeper is broken. There is no flawless human being in this world. That version exists only beyond it. And when a chapter ends, it does not mean your story is over. Sometimes it means you are being prepared for something healthier, wiser, more stable. Loss does not always mean punishment. Sometimes it is redirection. Sometimes it is protection. Making someone else's life difficult will never make your own life easier. Peace does not grow in conflict. Ease does not come from revenge. If you want lightness, close the chapter with dignity. Open the next one with intention. Move forward. And this is where the lesson deepens even more. There is something deeply comforting in knowing that Allah never judges you only by where you once were. He looks at the direction you choose now. He looks at the turn your heart makes. He looks at the sincerity behind your return. There were people who once carried heavy mistakes, people who stood at a crossroads wondering if their past had already written their ending. They questioned whether what they had done would always follow them, whether their wrong choices had permanently closed the door of mercy. And Allah answered that doubt with clarity. When a person truly turns back to Him, the past no longer has the same weight. Wrong actions are erased. Sincere repentance reshapes the record, and the good you once did is never lost. This is not a reset that leaves you empty. It is a cleansing that leaves you lighter but richer, free from sin, yet full of goodness. Returning to Allah is not just about saying the words of forgiveness. It is about choosing a new direction. It is about changing how you live, how you think, how you respond. And that kind of return is beloved to Allah, because it reflects truth, not habit. There are people who leave harmful paths even when temptation is still within reach. They walk away not because they are forced to, but because their heart has chosen Allah over desire. And Allah loves that choice so much that He transforms restraint into reward and sacrifice into elevation. This is the relationship Allah invites you into. A relationship built on effort, honesty, and hope. Yet there are days when even the strongest hearts feel weak. Days when faith feels distant. Days when you quietly ask, where is Allah now? You are not alone in that question. Those who came before you felt it too. They were tested, shaken, stretched beyond comfort, until they reached moments of exhaustion where they asked when help would arrive. And Allah responded with a promise that never fades. Be patient. Help is near. Every prayer you have ever made was heard. Every single one. Some were answered immediately. Some were delayed. Some arrived years later in ways you did not recognize at first. Delay does not mean rejection. Timing is part of mercy. If you look back carefully, you will find prayers from long ago that quietly came true when you least expected them. Not because you reminded Allah, but because the time was finally right. This life was never meant to be the place where everything feels complete. It is a path, not the destination. Your role is not to argue about what waits at the end, but to stay on the path that leads there. You already know the direction. You already know the goal. What matters is that you keep walking, even when clarity feels distant. Do not worry about what you will receive in the end. Worry about reaching the end with faith intact. Even the last person to arrive at mercy has arrived. That alone is success. Allah is capable of reuniting hearts, restoring connections, and granting joy in ways the mind cannot fully imagine. When something is removed from your desire, it is not loss. It is replacement with something far greater. This entire message comes back to one truth. Do not allow the past, whether it was your mistake or someone else's wrongdoing, to imprison your future. Learn from it, grow through it, then leave it where it belongs. If you have fallen, stand again. If you have sinned, return again. If you feel distant, come back again. Allah never tires of forgiving those who sincerely return. Life is fragile. Time is short. Change does not wait for perfect conditions. Do not delay turning back. Do not delay mending what you can. Do not delay moving forward. You are not disqualified. You are not too late. You are not beyond mercy. Make amends. Take the step. Pray. Ask. Rise. And remember this always. Today you are better than yesterday. And tomorrow, by Allah's permission, you can be better than today. May Allah grant us strength, sincerity, and the ability to keep walking forward with hope until we return to Him.